Well, it was high energy, high energy. And I was a board op when I started, newsman assistant, and I was pretty worried. If you screwed something up, you were in trouble. Like during a newscast, a live newscast, and the newsman would cue you to hit the tape. If you weren't right on, you were called in, and it didn't go well. So I was very nervous to make sure I didn't screw anything up. But it was just high energy, and I think at that time we had 24 people in the radio news department,
which is astounding.
Yeah, even back then, and nowadays, only NPR or PBS stations have newsrooms really in radio. Everything's automated. They get it from somewhere else. So yeah, it was go, go, go. And we covered, we covered Windsor because we were in Windsor. We covered Detroit. We had an office in the city county building over there. I worked out over there for a couple of years. I mean, we covered everything, and we got a lot of news on the phone. 254 CKLW in Windsor and 961 NEWS in Detroit. Those were the hotline numbers.
Wow. Good for you for remembering that. Yeah. 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 A lot of the times, as I recall, definitely the Patty Hearst one, people would call with amazing tips. And so the station was first on a ton of stuff because of that, win $1,000 of the best news tip of the year and the best news tip of the week.
We gave up money every week and then a big $1,000 a year. I don't remember too much about the Patty Hearst one, but I do remember being there for the Kent State shootings in Ohio. And we had, as you know, we had a huge audience in Ohio. And someone called us and tipped us off that this shooting had happened, the National Guard at the university. And we broke the story at CK.
Similar thing with the Patty Hearst thing. For those of you who maybe are young, don't remember Patty Hearst, she got kidnapped and was held for ransom by, I want to say the Black Panthers.
The Symbionese Liberation Army.
Right. And she was in San Francisco, and nobody, FBI, nobody could find her. And then there was a tip that the station got from somebody who used to live in Detroit and wanted to win the $1,000 of where she was in San Francisco. So CKLW broke the story of here's where she is, and then they found her. I mean, what's the odds of that happening?
Every New Year's day after New Year's Day, I remember they would come into the lobby and take pictures, and the $1,000 winner would have their picture taken with Byron, and they'd be handing them the check.
There was a lot of people like yourself, who went on to, let me back up a little bit. During the time, because 2020 News was, I don't know, what's the word, a bit sensationalistic maybe, or really it didn't do the normal staid type of news. It was more, made it interesting to an average person the way the writing was and the delivery and all of that stuff. But a lot of regular news organizations, sort of would trash it out, 2020 News. But, I found really incredibly interesting, people like you, you go in and, you're like an anchor for 30 years. You're the guy, you're the news guy of Buffalo, and Randall.
You know what they call me? They called me the Bill Bonds of Buffalo. And Bill Bonds was one of my, mentors, my heroes. That's who I watched as a kid. He was the anchor on WXYZ in Detroit for many years.
Yeah, he was great. He was awesome. Yeah. But I mean, you and, and Randall basically, did the same thing in Salt Lake City, and Bob Lozier on CNN and Joe Donovan on WWJ. I guess where I'm going with this is, all the people that were in that newsroom, it's like, oh, I don't know, is that really news? They all ended up being icons of news pretty much everywhere, that's a professional, and
times change. And that was, you couldn't get away with that today, what we did 50 years ago. And to say it was unusual would be an understatement. And it was mainly the writing and the delivery. And sometimes it did get a little out of control. And, you look back now and you kind of cringe like, oh, man, did I say that? But Grant Hudson was the king of, writing all the, the copy and the alliterations and the things that went down, like the, Louisville baseball, Louisville Slugger, and and things like that that really you couldn't get away with today. But people certainly remembered it, and even though we were a little outlandish at times, we still covered the news every day.
100%, and covered it really well.